Hi Sam. I hope you're doing well today.
Hi Alex. I'm great, thanks. What's the word we're learning today?
Today, we're diving into the word
Konflikt.
Konflikt.
That sounds interesting. What does it mean?
It means conflict in English. It can refer to a disagreement, a clash of interests, or a struggle. The most common usage is for disputes between people or groups.
That makes sense. Are there any false friends with this word?
Yes, actually. Don't confuse
Konflikt.
with the English word conflict in terms of intensity. In
Deutsch.
it can be more neutral and less severe than in English. Now, let's talk about the grammar.
Konflikt.
Is a masculine noun, so it takes the article.
Der.
The plural form is
Konflikte.
So it's
Der Konflikt.
and
Die Konflikte.
exactly. In the present tense, you might say,
Ich habe einen Konflikt.
for I have a conflict. In the past tense, you would say,
Ich hatte einen Konflikt.
and in perfect, it's
Ich habe einen Konflikt gehabt.
that makes sense. What about the imperative form?
you could say,
Löse den Konflikt.
which means resolve the conflict. The word
Konflikt.
has its roots in the Latin word,
Konfliktus.
meaning to strike together. It passed through Old High German and evolved over time.
That's really cool. I didn't know it had such a long history.
Yes, it shows how language evolves. The meaning has stayed quite similar throughout the ages. Now, let's break down the word.
Konflikt.
It doesn't have a prefix or suffix, but we can think of it as a single unit.
So, there's no Lego pieces to assemble here.
Correct. But you can remember it by associating it with the idea of two opposing forces coming together. Let's look at some similar words. First, with the same prefix.
Kon.
We have,
Konstruieren.
which means to construct, and
Konfrontieren.
meaning to confront.
Got it. What about words with the same suffix?
Sure. For that, we have,
Reflektieren.
which means to reflect, and
Streikt.
meaning to strike.
Interesting. Any other examples?
Yes. There's,
Komplikation.
meaning complication, and
Qualifikation.
meaning qualification.
That makes a total of 6 so far.
Exactly. And for a compound example, we have
Konfliktlösung.
which means conflict resolution. Now, let's put
Konflikt.
into practice with some real-life situations. Imagine you're at work and a disagreement arises. You could start with
Wir haben einen Konflikt im Team.
So, that means we have a conflict in the team.
right. Another situation could be if you're discussing something with friends. You might say,
Wir müssen den Konflikt klären.
meaning we need to clarify the conflict.
I see. I could also say,
Ich möchte den Konflikt vermeiden.
which means I want to avoid the conflict.
Great job, Sam. Now, about the gender hint, remember that
Konflikt.
is masculine because it ends with the consonant.
That's helpful. Any other tips?
Yes. You can visualize a conflict as two people facing each other, symbolizing the clash. In terms of usage,
Konflikt.
is neutral and can be used in both formal and informal settings. Some common collocations include
Konflikt lösen. Konflikt vermeiden.
and
Konflikt zwischen Parteien.
Good to know. Are there any similar words I should watch out for?
be careful not to confuse
Konflikt.
with,
Konfusion.
which means confusion. They sound similar but have different meanings. Let's reinforce what we've learned. What's the gender of
Konflikt.
It's masculine, so.
Der Konflikt.
correct? What's the plural?
Die Konflikte.
Good. Can you give me an example of it in the past tense?
Ich hatte einen Konflikt.
Perfect. Now, do you remember the meaning in English?
It means conflict.
Right. And what would you say if you wanted to resolve a conflict?
Löse den Konflikt.
Well done. To sum up, we learned that
Konflikt.
means conflict, it's a masculine noun, and has a rich history.
Thanks, Alex. I really enjoyed today's lesson.
I'm glad to hear that. Keep practicing, and you'll be using
Konflikt.
like a pro in no time.